evening. Security forces gave details today of the recent successes that they have secured in the fight against terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir. They revealed that 272 terrorists were eliminated by security forces last year and 70 this year, including 46 Jaish terrorists in the Kashmir Valley. In focus tonight is the fresh milestone in the fight against terror in J&K. Also on the show tonight, Sri Lankan government admitting to intelligence failure that led to serial bomb blasts in Sri Lanka on Easter Sunday, even as more details emerged on the suicide bombers said to be involved in the attack. We will also focus on taking on the terror challenge in the subcontinent, that, all the election-related action and more in today's edition of Newsnight. I'm Munmun Bhattacharya. First up, the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses 3 rallies in Jharkhand and West Bengal, takes a swipe at the opposition for questioning the EVMs, says sure of defeat, the opposition is now blaming EVMs. PM launches a scathing attack on Mamata Banerjee in West Bengal, says on 23rd May the countdown to end a tyrannical rule in Bengal will begin. Rahul and Priyanka Gandhi take the Congress campaign forward in UP. Rahul Gandhi addresses rallies in Lakhimpur Kheri and Kanpur. Priyanka campaigns in Fatehpur, Mahoba and Hamirpur. After being denied a ticket by BJP, MP from Northwest Delhi Udit Raj joins the Congress. BJP's campaign 2 gains momentum. Amit Shah canvasses for NDA in a poll rally in Bihar. Yogi Adityanath and Smriti Irani campaign in UP. BJP candidate from Bhopal, Sadhvi Pragya Singh Thakur, gets relief from NIA court. Court refuses to suspend her candidature. Campaigns of other political parties gather pace too. Mayawati and Akhilesh canvass for votes for Mahagathbandhan in rallies in UP while taking on BJP and the Congress. Nitish Kumar of the JDU campaigns in Bihar and Anupriya Patel in Kannauj in UP. Security forces eliminate 272 terrorists in J&K last year and 70 this year. Jaish-e-Mohammed brass wiped out from the valley. Security forces say the security situation is normal in J&K. Sources say security agencies have identified 10 Pakistan-based terrorists involved in funneling illegal weapons, narcotics and currency into the valley, leading the government to suspend cross-LOC trade. Apurva Shukla Tiwari, the main suspect in the murder of her husband Rohit Shekhar Tiwari, arrested. Apurva remanded to 2 days of police custody. Police claims Apurva has confessed to the crime. Sri Lankan government admits there were intelligence lapses that could not prevent the serial bombings on Easter Sunday. Defence Minister of Sri Lanka admits to intelligence failure. Investigations reveal involvement of 9 suicide bombers, including a woman. Over 60 suspects arrested. Death toll rises to 359. India's winning spree continues in the Asian Wrestling Championships. Amit Dhankar wins silver and Rahul Aware bags the bronze medal. One of our top stories this evening, Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed election rallies in Jharkhand and West Bengal today, where he said that the opposition is making EVMs a scapegoat because they have already sensed defeat in the general elections. Taking on Trinamool Congress in West Bengal, he said misrule by Mamata Banerjee is now set to end.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressing 3 rallies in Jharkhand and West Bengal for the remaining phases of the Lok Sabha elections, appealing to voters to support the NDA. The first rally of the day was in Lohardaga. Attacking the Congress and the opposition parties, the PM said that the opposition is certain of its defeat after the 3rd phase of polls and so are shifting the blame on EVMs.
देश की जनता जब अपने चौकीदार पर इतना प्रेम बरसा रही है तो बेचारी उस मशीन को भी गाली खानी पड़ रही है, उसके नसीब में भी गाली आ रही है। साथियों, ईवीएम पर विपक्षियों का ये रोना इसलिए भी हो रहा है क्योंकि लोग इन महामिलावटियों को वोट देकर अपना वोट बेकार नहीं जाने दे रहे।
Targeting Congress President Rahul Gandhi indirectly, the PM said some of those who dream of becoming Prime Minister are not even able to win the assembly seats of their constituency. The PM's next rally was at Bolpur in West Bengal. Taking on the Mamata government, he said the reports from the polling so far suggest that the reign of Mamata Banerjee is coming to an end.
23 मई को फिर एक बार मोदी सरकार आएगी, तब पश्चिम बंगाल से टीएमसी की अत्याचारी सत्ता की विदाई का काउंटडाउन शुरू हो जाएगा। लेफ्ट और कांग्रेस का इतने दशकों का शासन भुगतने के बाद आपने दीदी पर भरोसा किया था, लेकिन दीदी ने क्या दिया? घुसपैठ और दादागिरी को टॉप गियर में डाला।
Massive crowds welcomed the Prime Minister as he drove to the rally grounds in Ranaghat. People queued up along the roads and many perched precariously on trees and rooftops to catch a glimpse of the Prime Minister. The PM lashed out at the West Bengal government at Ranaghat. He said, "If Didi has the support of goons, we have the power of democracy backing us." The Prime Minister appealed to people to vote for a strong government at the centre. With Diwakar, Ajay Mishra and Ani Broto, News Night Desk, DD India.
Besides the Prime Minister, other BJP leaders are also putting in their best efforts to woo voters. Party chief Amit Shah was in Bihar campaigning for NDA candidates. Yogi Adityanath and Smriti Irani took charge of political activities in UP. Meanwhile, BJP candidate in MP, Sadhvi Pragya Singh Thakur, held a roadshow in Bhopal.
As the stage unfolds for the remaining 4 phases of the Lok Sabha elections, political parties are concentrating all their efforts on full-scale campaigning. On Wednesday, Amit Shah addressed 2 rallies, appealing for votes for NDA candidates in Bihar. In Munger, he campaigned for JDU candidate Lalan Singh, slamming the Congress for adopting a soft stance against terrorism. He spoke of how the NDA government in Bihar had rid the state of hooliganism, corruption and jungle raj that existed under the RJD government. He credited NDA with bringing the state back on the path of development.
भारत के अंदर एक गांधी नेहरू परिवार का कांग्रेस का शासन रहा। बिहार के अंदर 15 साल तक लालू राबड़ी का जंगल राज रहा। मुझे बताइए कि 55 साल के अंदर बिहार के अंदर लालू राबड़ी राज में गरीबों के लिए कुछ हुआ था क्या? नरेंद्र मोदी जी देश के प्रधानमंत्री बने, एनडीए की सरकार बनी और 5 साल के अंदर देश के 50 करोड़ गरीबों के लिए नरेंद्र मोदी जी ढेर सारी योजनाएं लेकर आए।
Shah said that Prime Minister Modi had promised Bihar assistance worth 1,25,000 crore rupees and work worth 1,10,000 crore rupees has already begun. In Begusarai, he campaigned for Union Minister Giriraj Singh. Amit Shah hit out at the National Conference and the Congress, who he said are hand in glove in their demand for a separate Prime Minister for Jammu and Kashmir. Shah asserted that nothing can separate Kashmir from India. He said that it was the responsibility of the people of Begusarai to ensure that the Tukre Tukre gang does not come to power.
जेएनयू में नारे लगे, नारे क्या लगे? नारे लगे भारत तेरे टुकड़े हो 1000 इंशाल्लाह इंशाल्लाह। मित्रों, नरेंद्र मोदी सरकार ने नारे लगाने वालों पर राजद्रोह का मुकदमा दायर कर उनको जेल की सलाखों के पीछे डालने का काम। और ये राहुल बाबा उस वक्त जेएनयू में पहुंचकर बोले ये देशद्रोह नहीं है, ये अभिव्यक्ति की आजादी है।
UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath addressed a number of rallies in the state, recounting the many successes of his government. At a rally in Chandoli, he said the wish in every citizen's heart was फिर एक बार मोदी सरकार।
और 3 चरणों के चुनाव में पूरे देश के अंदर एक लहर है, एक आवाज है पूरब में, पश्चिम में, उत्तर में, दक्षिण में, महिला हो, पुरुष हो, और चाहे वह जवान हो, बुजुर्ग हो, हर एक व्यक्ति के मुंह पर एक ही आवाज है, मोदी 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 की।
Union Minister Smriti Irani is busy campaigning in her constituency Amethi. On Wednesday, she addressed a rally in which she lambasted Rahul Gandhi for doing nothing for his constituency.
है कोई एक ऐसा गरीब परिवार जिसके घर में राहुल गांधी ने स्वयं शौचालय बनवाया हो? यहाँ जो बैठे हैं उनके एक घर ऐसा है जिसमें राहुल गांधी ने शौचालय बनवाया हो, गांव की सड़क पर खरंजा करवाया हो, है कोई? नाली बनवाई हो, है कोई? अरे बच्चों को स्कूल की शिक्षा दिलवाई हो, है कोई? और मोदी ने क्या किया? मोदी ने अमेठी संसदीय क्षेत्र में 2 लाख गरीब परिवारों को शौचालय बनाकर दिया।
In Bhopal, meanwhile, BJP's Sadhvi Pragya Singh Thakur held a roadshow after she filed her nomination papers. And in some relief for Pragya Singh Thakur, the NIA court quashed an application to stop her from fighting the elections.
Forum for such exercise would be the Election Commission, and the interveners have chosen the wrong forum, and the application itself is not maintainable, and that is how the application has been dismissed. And some political agenda was sought to be catered. Now the court has rejected the contention. By itself comes to truth that this type of application, frivolous application, should not be filed, and court has cautioned the intervener henceforward to look into to be careful on the subject.
Final view. For the BJP, Friday will be very significant, as Prime Minister Modi is scheduled to file his nomination from his constituency, Varanasi. The filing will be preceded by a mega roadshow. News Night Desk, DD News.
Rahul Gandhi and his sister Priyanka Gandhi are campaigning hard in the crucial state of Uttar Pradesh. While Rahul promised a better deal for farmers and job-seeking youth if voted to power, Priyanka appealed to people to put an end to divisive politics of the BJP. Meanwhile, BJP MP from Delhi, Udit Raj, quit the party and joined the Congress.
Congress President Rahul Gandhi led the party's campaign in Uttar Pradesh. He addressed rallies in Lakhimpur Kheri and Kanpur. In Lakhimpur Kheri, Gandhi was addressing an election rally to boost the prospects of Zafar Ali Naqvi for the Lok Sabha seat and its nominee for the Nighasan Assembly bypoll, Atal Shukla. He raised the issues of dues of sugarcane farmers at the rally. In Kanpur, he promised employment for the youth.
कानपुर के युवा सुन लो, 1 साल के अंदर 22 लाख युवाओं को वो सरकारी नौकरियां कांग्रेस पार्टी दे देगी। हमने ऐतिहासिक निर्णय लिया है कानपुर के युवाओं के लिए। 2019 के चुनाव के बाद मैनिफेस्टो में हमने साफ एक लाइन लिखी है, कानपुर का कोई भी युवा अगर बिजनेस, दुकान, छोटी इंडस्ट्री चालू करना चाहता है तो 3 साल के लिए उसे किसी भी सरकारी डिपार्टमेंट से परमिशन लेने की जरूरत नहीं।
Congress General Secretary Priyanka Gandhi addressed a rally at Fatehpur in UP, which is going to polls in the 5th phase. She urged voters to help end the politics of divisiveness and negativity and usher in politics that addresses their grievances. Amid speculations that Priyanka Gandhi may contest from Varanasi, she criticized PM Modi for neglecting his constituency.
जो 5 सालों से सरकार केंद्र में है, उसमें आपकी सुनवाई कोई नहीं है, आपके लिए कोई हमदर्द नहीं है। लगता है कि जनता से, किसानों से, गरीबों से इनका नाता टूट चुका है।
Priyanka also held a roadshow in Mahoba to canvass for Pritam Singh Lodhi Kisan, the Congress candidate from Hamirpur Lok Sabha seat. A day after being denied a ticket by the BJP, its MP from Northwest Delhi Lok Sabha seat, Udit Raj, switched loyalties. He met Congress President Rahul Gandhi on Wednesday morning before formally joining the Congress. Udit Raj jumped the ship after BJP chose Punjabi Sufi singer Hans Raj Hans over him as its candidate from Northwest Delhi.
देश के दलित, शोषित, वंचित, गरीब, हर वो व्यक्ति जिसका अधिकार छीनने का सरकार और सत्ता प्रयास करती हैं, राहुल जी के हाथ से हाथ मिलाकर कांग्रेस का हाथ पकड़कर उस आवाज को पूरे देश में बुलंद करने का निर्णय किया है। मैं उन श्री उदित राज जी का भी स्वागत करता हूं।
मैं आज कांग्रेस में शामिल हुआ और कांग्रेस में मैं 12 13-14 से ही आना चाहता था। राहुल जी इस बात को जानते हैं, परिस्थितियां ऐसी रही।
Bollywood star turned Congress candidate from North Mumbai, Urmila Matondkar, kicked off her campaign in style. She is facing off against sitting BJP MP Gopal Shetty. Mumbai votes on the 29th of April. News Night Desk, DD India.
On to our top focus this evening. While the country is awash in the sights and sounds of the general and assembly polls, security forces in Jammu and Kashmir have kept up their operations against terrorism. Last year, 272 terrorists were killed in Jammu and Kashmir, and the number stands at 70 so far this year, including the Jaish-e-Mohammed top brass.
Security forces are following a zero-tolerance policy towards terrorism and are working relentlessly to eradicate terrorists from the Kashmir Valley. While addressing a joint press conference, the army, along with the Jammu and Kashmir police, said that 272 terrorists were killed in the valley last year and 70 so far this year. Out of the 70, 46 terrorists belong to Jaish-e-Mohammed. Many terrorist base camps have also been eliminated, and the JEM leadership has been wiped out from the valley.
This year, total of 69 terrorists have been killed, 12 apprehended. Post Pulwama, 41 terrorists have been killed, and out of them 25 belong to Jaish-e-Mohammed. And out of the 25, 13 were the foreign terrorists, Pakistanis, and 13 were category A plus and above. So basically we have targeted the Jaish-e-Mohammed leadership. The situation now is there is no one coming forward to take on the leadership of Jaish-e-Mohammed in the valley. And in spite of Pakistan's best effort, we will continue to suppress Jaish-e-Mohammed, especially after Pulwama. And I want to assure you, the operations against the terrorists in the hinterland on the LC will continue with full vigor, and we will not let the terrorism rise up to the levels which earlier they were enjoying.
The army said that operations against terrorists will continue in full earnest to contain the menace of terrorism. 41 terrorists have been killed since the Pulwama attack. The forces maintain that the security environment in the state is stable, and there has been a reduction in incidents of stone pelting and local recruitment of terrorists. A good example of this positive change is the peaceful conduct of Lok Sabha polls so far.
I feel very happy that those positive trends were indicative of certain good things that happened during 2018. As we already shared, recruitment of local youth dipped down. It continues to be low. That's again a very healthy sign. There were very large-scale successes in terms of CI operations. 272 militants were neutralized in the state during the year 2018, and a large number of them were apprehended.
Security forces presented some recently nabbed LET terrorists before the media who had crossed over with the intention of spreading mayhem. They had received training in Pakistan. Meanwhile, sources revealed that at least 10 terrorists who had crossed over to Pakistan and set up businesses across the border with active aid of the ISI were involved in funneling weapons, narcotics, fake currency to terrorists and funds to separatists in Jammu and Kashmir through the recently suspended cross-LOC trade. Sources said that they belong to Jammu and Kashmir, are either based in Islamabad and Rawalpindi in Pakistan or Muzaffarabad in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Last week, India indefinitely suspended trade across the line of control at 2 points in Jammu and Kashmir. Some reports were found which stated that arms, drugs and counterfeit currency were being smuggled across the border via these trading points. With inputs from Salman Qazi, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
And that brings us to our In Focus tonight, which is a fresh milestone in the fight against terror in Jammu and Kashmir. To talk about that, we have with us Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, retired. I welcome you, Lieutenant General Kulkarni, to Newsnight. So, You heard the figures from the security forces. 272 terrorists eliminated in the valley in 2018, around 70 this year, of which 46 are from the JEM, including the top brass, and 41 since the Pulwama terror attack. Would you say that this is a major milestone in the fight against terrorism in the valley?
100%, Manu, 100%. I can assure you the kind and the numbers that have been killed are just not an indication, but even overall, even in the valley, when we go around to see for ourselves, there is peace, number one. And number two, even if you look at it, the Jaish-e-Mohammed leadership has almost been eliminated out of the 41 that have been killed post Pulwama incident.
In fact, the army even went on to say that the situation is now such since the Pulwama terror attack that no one wants to take over leadership of the JEM in the valley.
Absolutely. There aren't any volunteers to come to them. Leadership is eliminated. They don't know where to look for. And I think this is an absolute excellent indication, because post Pulwama and the subsequent attacks that have gone on Balakot are all indicative that yes, people in the valley have seemed to realize that it's not worth it to take up arms, and this itself is a very good indication. And the elections that have taken place now, you see, is peaceful, absolutely peaceful. Maybe the percentage in the valley may be a little low compared to Jammu, but overall the percentage has been excellent. That itself is indicative of the people wanting to stay peaceful in the valley.
In fact, the security forces weighed in on that, saying that they don't think that the polling percentage was that bad in the entire JNK as well. But do you also see this counter-terror offensive in the valley as a confidence-building measure as JNK votes?
See, the initiative has been on all fronts, just not political and military initiatives that have taken place, even diplomatically. The isolation of Pakistan, the realization by Pakistan, making it go on the back foot economically, people in the valley realizing that they have been taken on the wrong path. They have soon realized that it's not worth it. You know, numerous times I've seen with my own eyes when some of these militants are caught, especially the ones who come from Pakistan, brainwashed, and to be told that there is no freedom there, that there is absolute atrocities are carrying on, and when we catch them, they feel ashamed that having come over here, there's so much of freedom, there's so much of, you know, the people are absolutely free, there is no kind of compulsions of any kind on them. This is what will drive the youth of Kashmir. And not only this, Monmon, let me tell you, when recruitment takes place of the army or the police, you just see the kind of thousands of volunteers that are lined up to join. What is that indicative of? That there is peace and that people themselves want peace. Unless, but my only small submission over here would be that the political leadership of the valley must also speak in unison. This double talk, this deceitful conduct, this kind of talking, that is what makes the people in the valley realize they don't know what side it is. Till they will soon realize after these elections are over that there is a amount, if they want to go along with the country, they are the beneficiaries, and that the people from Pakistan and the ISI are all trying to take them up the garden path and will ruin them permanently.
Is that what is reflected in the fact that recruitment has come down substantially of local youth into terror outfits, and stone pelting incidents have also decreased? So making that, building on the point that you had made earlier, that are the local youth in JNK seeing through the true designs of the terrorists and now wanting to join the mainstream?
Yes, stone pelting has reduced. You will find even the number of calls being given for shutdown have also gone down. The demonetization, the kind of strictness which has come on the monetary dealings of the separatists has affected them very badly. People themselves have realized that it is not worth it. And I am again and again reiterating it. The mindset of the people is undergoing a change. And this change is for the good of the valley people and also for the nation itself. People have realized that Pakistan and the ISI, which is playing a double game, is taking them along the wrong path. They themselves have ruined. Pakistan is ruined economically. Pakistan cannot stand India militarily. Pakistan has been isolated diplomatically. Where does it stand? The people are not, you can't fool all the people at all times. And that is where I personally would say that yes, there is a strong indication, and the kind of synergy which seems to have come up between the armed forces, the police and the agencies which are operating within the valley are indicative that yes, we can hope for peace hereinafter.
After restrictions were imposed on the movement of civilians on the national highway, we saw that there were some protests that had emerged, but today the security forces said that that is only a temporary measure and that those restrictions are being eased, especially in those places where elections have already taken place, and that's how it's going to be going forward as well. So would you say that there is flexibility that the security forces have shown even on this count despite the Pulwama terror attack?
There is no doubt, there is no doubt. These kind of restrictions were primarily imposed so that safety and security of the people and of the military convoys is ensured. Having seen that things have eased, definitely, who would want any restrictions? The restrictions were lifted primarily to make sure that the roads are open, the traffic free flows and the people can come and go. I'm sure with these kind of the way the traffic itself, the restrictions having been lifted from 2 days, it will come to 1 day, maybe an odd hour here and there. Definitely, the people will not be put to hardship.
There were also some protests that had emerged in certain parts of the state after the Government of India decided to indefinitely suspend cross-LOC trade at 2 points in Jammu and Kashmir. Now, sources have told DD News that those routes were in fact being misused by Pakistan-based terrorists. We have information that these Pakistan-based terrorists had set up their businesses on that side of the LOC, and that they were trading with Indian firms which were set up by their relatives, and they were funneling in narcotics, weapons, fake currency as well. That was in turn financing the terrorist activities and also financing separatist activities in the valley. So would you say that India has been and continues to be alive to all the dangers posed by terrorists and their evolving designs?
Definitely, definitely. As I was mentioning, initiative it is on all fronts. There are no quick fix solutions to all these kind of problems that have cropped up. LOC, of course, there's tremendous amount of strengthening of the LOC. You find ceasefire violations being, retaliated much more than what Pakistan would this thing. Unless and until we raise the cost for Pakistan, it is no way that we can bring down this militancy which is there in the valley. By and large, the people of Kashmir always want peace. There is no denying. We've been moving so freely. I can't tell you the amount of freedom. And sometimes I also feel that the media itself must also not play as if there is something going on. You go yourself and see for it. Whichever part of the Kashmir Valley, you would not see what you hear. It's very peaceful. People are there. Even now, I keep saying, how many? 272 militants have been eliminated. Let's presume that 250 more also. What is the population in the valley? Crores of people. What is this percentage? It's peanuts. This kind of people having got, disillusion and the kind of money being pumped in by the ISI and the kind of radicalization that is set in certain very, very small people are radicalized. To say and to, sweep across the thing that the people are bad is a wrong thing. I personally feel Pakistan having been isolated, the strictness with which the LOC is being strengthened, the ceasefire violations being, retaliated with such strong measures that Pakistan never thereafter attempts to do that, the kind of measures that have been taken all along, winning the hearts and minds of the people in the valley, you would soon find with the political leadership in the valley also, if they do not resort to double talks and deceitful conduct, you will find valley will be very, very peaceful.
Now, there was also an appeal that the security forces had made via the media to civilians to not come to encounter sites during or after the encounter. How would that appeal, you think, be received by the civilians? And also your last word on the fact that the security forces said that this is not the end, that they will continue in full earnest their anti-terror operations in the valley till the time the menace of terrorism is curbed totally.
See, the kind of, even the earlier kind and earlier times that one saw, the kind of people which would come obstructing the CASO operation, that has substantially reduced. That is one. Secondly, people have been taking the warnings little seriously. I wouldn't say across the board that things have eased off. Definitely there is a certain amount of uneasiness even when the CASO operations take place. That is primarily because there is so much of pressure on the locals so that the militants run away from that particular thing. But the way the militants have been eliminated, the way the Jaish-e-Mohammed leadership has been finished, the way they are finding it difficult to find leadership, the way they are finding it difficult, volunteers coming for the Jaish-e-Mohammed militant organization is all indicative that yes, there's a big setback. The Jaish-e-Mohammed, Masood Azhar's own families and friends and relatives all have been eliminated in the valley. What does that indicate? Where has this input come from? Who is providing this input? That these are the people need to be, until and unless the people themselves come out openly and supporting, and the synergy which is developed between the various agencies in the valley is all indicative that yes, there is a likelihood of a total, I wouldn't say peace prevailing over in a short time, but yes, at least the narrative indicates that we are heading towards a more peaceful Kashmir Valley for years to come hereinafter.
Absolutely. So a major milestone in the fight against terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir scored by the security forces. You are saying another step in the direction of a more peaceful Kashmir. Thank you, Lieutenant General Kulkarni, for having joined us on Newsnight tonight. Well, on that note, we'll take a break. We'll be back with more. Stay tuned.
महात्मा के मंत्र क्रोध और असहिष्णुता सही समझ के दुश्मन है। बापू को कृतज्ञ राष्ट्र की श्रद्धांजलि।
Welcome back. Days after the serial bombings on Easter Sunday in Sri Lanka, the government of the island nation informed that 9 suicide bombers involved in the attack were mostly from educated and middle-class backgrounds, while warning of an ongoing terrorist threat amid continuing arrests. The authorities continue to investigate the role of Islamic State, which has claimed responsibility for the coordinated blasts.
3 days after serial bomb blasts rocked Sri Lanka on Easter, leaving the country in a state of shock, the death toll has risen to 359. Deputy Defence Minister Ruvan Wijewardene, in a press conference in Colombo, admitted to a lapse in security despite available intelligence inputs. A day after ISIS claimed responsibility, Sri Lankan government said they are investigating if there was any direct link with any international organisation. Ruvan further said that ISIS has been trying to infiltrate Sri Lanka for some time now.
The intelligence information had been given to the right people. I think at least this could have been, whether it was could be avoided or even minimized. The IS has claimed responsibility, but I can say yes, through ideology and maybe funding, but on the funding part, we are conducting investigations to find out whether
The State Minister of Defence said that multiple bomb attacks were carried out not by National Tawheed Jamaat but by its splinter group, asserting that no foreign national was arrested. The Sri Lankan minister confirmed that all suicide bombers were from Sri Lanka and a total of 60 people have been arrested so far. 8 out of 9 suicide bombers have been identified, though the identity of the 9th suicide bomber is yet to be ascertained. He too died during the attack. One of them was a woman.
From what we gathered, the National Tawheed Jamaat, I think there has been a group that has split from that main body. We believe that the leader of this group has also committed suicide in one of the attacks.
Reiterating what he said in the parliament, Wijewardene said that the twin mosque Christchurch attacks in New Zealand motivated the attacks in Sri Lanka. However, New Zealand has said they did not receive any intelligence regarding the Easter Sunday attack.
We haven't received anything officially, nor have we received any intelligence reports that corroborate what has been said in Sri Lanka.
Post the attacks, Sri Lankan authorities have said they are constantly in touch with all neighbouring countries and the neighbours are helping and assisting them. India had provided specific warnings about terror attack in Sri Lanka ahead of the Easter Sunday bombing. The mortal remains of 9 out of 10 Indians killed in the massive bombing have been sent to India. Expressing solidarity with Sri Lanka, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said before 2014, India too was in a similar position when it came to tackling terror.
दुनिया भर के सामने एक और बड़ी चुनौती है आतंकवाद। ईस्टर के पवित्र दिन हमारे पड़ोस में श्रीलंका में आतंकवादियों ने किस तरह चर्च और दूसरी प्रमुख जगहों पर बम धमाके किए। 2014 से पहले भारत भी तो इसी स्थिति से गुजरता था।
Sri Lanka remains on high alert. Police carried out a controlled explosion on a suspicious motorcycle parked near a cinema hall in Colombo, though no explosives were found in the vehicle. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
And that brings us to our second in focus tonight, which is taking on the terror challenge in the subcontinent. To talk about that, we have with us G. Parthasarathy, former ambassador. Welcome you, Ambassador Parthasarathy, to Newsnight. Well, the ISIS has claimed responsibility for this attack, and at the same time we know that in Sri Lanka investigations are on to ascertain who exactly is behind it, whether it is the ISIS, whether it acted alone, whether it acted with local support, whether an Islamist fundamentalist organization is behind it, whether there is any link to the Christchurch bombings. What do you make of all the leads that are there in front of us so far? Who could be behind this attack according to you?
Let us be extremely clear. In Buddhist countries, whether it is Sri Lanka or Thailand or Myanmar, the Buddhist clergy has been strongly anti-Muslim. I mean, you see it in the case of the Rohingyas in Myanmar. And therefore, the communal riots you've had in Sri Lanka, you've had three, one in 2012, one in 2014, and one now. But they have been between the Buddhists and the Muslims. The poor Christian community has been completely out of it. It has nothing to do with this, and they don't get involved. It's a very small community. Now, therefore, it is quite clear that the objective was bigger, not just hitting people at an Easter Mass. I mean, that's about the stupidest thing to do, because it will invite wrath everywhere. But it therefore seems clear that there is a certain amount of radicalization of Muslims in Sri Lanka, which is unfortunate because the bulk of the Muslim community is very well off. So they have been radicalized, and the target was clearly not confined to Sri Lanka. The target was to respond to an internationally condemned attack in New Zealand itself against a Muslim shrine. So whom have they hit? They have hit people in an Easter Mass in churches, and which is
hotels
shocking,
as well.
Which is shocking. And therefore, the target, they certainly, there is no enmity between them. Therefore, the target is to display to the world that Muslims in the world will not tolerate a repetition of what happened in New Zealand. There will be retribution. There can't be retribution in Europe or the US. Security is very heavy, intelligence is very efficient. So what have they done? They've done it in the IS, as they claim, have done it in a country like Sri Lanka, which is relatively open. It's a very open society, and it has been hit.
Does this attack then have a clear signature, according to you, of the Islamic State? And do you see any change in modus operandi? Because we've seen the way Islamic State has operated in Iraq and Syria, where they have now lost all territory. But here they have worked in close coordination with locals, because the Sri Lankan government has said that all the 9 suicide bombers were Sri Lankans, including one woman. So do you see any change in the modus operandi of the ISIS? Is there a clear signature?
Very clearly, the ISIS has realized it's a no-brainer. You just don't get into a conventional war with armies like they did in Iraq and in Syria. So what has happened? They've been pushed out, but they have dispersed. Wherever they've gone, and you know, it's a very thing. Even ISIS wives, they say, are more motivated and more religiously fundamentalist than the men. So you have found here also this sort of involvement of very conservative, otherwise very conservative women. So I think this is a clear sign that there is radicalization. If it can happen in Sri Lanka, it can happen anywhere else. And therefore, it's going to be a new form of a terrorist challenge. Because the ISIS now, as I said, have been dispersed. They are not concentrated. They'll hit in a few places, perhaps in some Central Asian republics, Iraq and so on, but not beyond. They can't get back into Europe. They can't get back into the US.
Okay.
So this is a soft target. But the target to me is quite clear. The timing, what the ISIS have said, it's retribution for what happened in New Zealand. And I think we have to bear that in mind. More importantly, we now have to worry about radicalization in South Asia itself. Pakistan has its own proteges. How they tie up with ISIS remains to be seen. But Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Maldives, these are places you have to look out for this sort of thing happening.
So you are saying that the whole world, including the Indian subcontinent, needs to be alive to this danger posed by the Islamic State and other fundamentalist groups. India has often maintained that the epicenter of terrorism, the mothership of terrorism, is in its neighborhood. You are also saying that there could well be links that may be discovered later, because we've seen how most of the terror attacks have had links with Pakistan somehow or the other. So are those challenges that the whole world and the Indian subcontinent need to be alive to?
Absolutely, because this is a battle which is going to be played over a long run. It involves hearts, minds, religious sentiments. So, and it is going to be sort of low intensity in the sense that you're not going to have a conventional war like in Iraq or in Syria. And therefore, we have to watch out. We have to watch out with outside attempts to radicalize our people. We have to watch out for radical influences getting into our neighborhood. And my own hunch with Pakistan is if they can't resist it, they will absorb it. In which case it's additional trouble for us. But right now, you know, what are the claims they have in India? I'm not sure any ISIS people. There have been any great numbers from India who took a fancy for it. So, but we have to be careful. And I think you're getting into an area of more intense intelligence sharing, not only with our own affected countries in this neighborhood, but also with the Americans and the Europeans, because they will ultimately feel the
there was foreign intelligence available, and even in the investigation, Sri Lanka is working closely with the United States to ascertain who exactly was behind this and how these attacks were carried out. There was intelligence that Sri Lanka has admitted they couldn't act on in time, and there could well be replacement of defense chiefs, which is what the Sri Lankan government has promised. But you know, having said that, on the challenge of terrorism, is there a greater need now more than ever before perhaps to have a united response to terrorism, come to an agreement on a definition of terrorism, adopt a comprehensive convention on international terrorism, because all legal instrumentalities are needed at this point in time?
I think the biggest problem with the United Nations has had is in defining terrorism. I mean, the Israelis would love the Palestinians to be called terrorists. The Chinese would love every one of their citizens in Xinjiang. They have 2 million under detention to be labeled as terrorists. That definition part of it is tough. But now you have UN Security Council resolutions on the basis of which you can act against terrorist organizations. So I think that is, rather than getting into definition, you make use of existing UN resolutions to deal with terrorism and cooperate with terrorism.
But there are countries that come in the way of a united response to terrorism. There are countries who have their political interests, their self-serving political interests, and they come in the way of listing of certain individuals as global terrorists by the UN. Is there a need for a united response in the sense that should every country really realize that no country is insulated from the threat of terrorism?
I don't think people will ever get that good sense. China will have its own priorities. Pakistan will have its own priorities. Now that Central Asian Muslims are being driven out of China into Central Asia, they're going to have their priorities. Then there is the whole sectarian disputes, Shia, Sunni. So I think we are into a very complex situation. There are no easy solutions, but I think as long as you maintain your internal security and are not quite as inefficient or lackadaisical as the Sri Lankans have been, you can manage. And I think hats off, our intelligence organizations come under a lot of criticism, but their problem is they can never advertise their successes. I mean, the very fact one knows that they have told the Sri Lankans this is the Sri Lankan attack. So you can imagine the amount of information they have of what's happening within our country. And I think by and large, the intelligence services, though there are centers, states and so on, they've done pretty well. If we've gone wrong in assessing situations, but otherwise we're okay. And right now I think the measure of cooperation that India is going to get from the US, from Europe, from Islamic countries like United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, which was unthinkable. And I think I must pay tribute to Mr. Modi, because it is during the last 4 years that within Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates and other Arab countries, there has been such a sea change with regard to our concerns on terrorism, where they are quite prepared to repatriate people to India. Extradition is there. Even people in crimes on defense deals are being extradited. So I think we have an important factor is that the Arab Muslim world, we have to keep in touch, because right now if you see it within the Islamic world, Pakistan sponsored terrorism, the Iranians claim with Saudi support, attacked and killed the Saudi military in an Iranian Sunni majority province, Sistan, Baluchistan. The Iranians retaliated by attacking back. Then a couple of days ago, Pakistani soldiers have been killed evidently by people who have come across the Baluchistan border. So I think this is something which is going to afflict them. The sectarian rivalry within the Islamic world.
Okay.
That's going to be there.
Okay. Now, the Sri Lankan government has also revealed that at least some of the 9 suicide bombers were well educated. They were either from well-off or middle-class backgrounds. That's not a new dimension that we have seen. We've seen across terror organizations, including the Al-Qaeda in the past, how various terrorists or terror recruits are from well-educated, well-off backgrounds. Should this be seen as an ideological war? Is that what the contours of this conflict is, more than a fight against poverty or against any other root causes?
I think we'd go absolutely wrong if we don't acknowledge that there is what Huntington called as a clash of civilizations. But it goes beyond. It is sectarian. But the Islamic world is in ferment. You have countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, Oman wanting to quieten this. But there are also discontented people willing to go to extremes. I think countries like after Syria, it could well be Algeria and Morocco who would face similar situations. But close to our borders, I think the worrisome part of it is if ISIS influence comes into Afghanistan, the Pakistanis could well try to absorb it. What will be its impact on India? We have to wait and see. So right now we are into a period where assessments, very close intelligence exchanges, and taking intelligence seriously.
Absolutely.
I think one of the reasons why Mumbai happened was we did not take the intelligence provided by to us by the Americans of the seaborne attack, and we paid the price.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, G. Parthasarathy, for having joined us on Newsnight tonight for your analysis. Let's move on now. After the conclusion of 3 phases of polling for the general elections, all parties are undertaking campaigning for the remaining phases of the electoral contest. The campaign trail is particularly interesting in Uttar Pradesh, where the united might of SP, BSP and RLD is taking on the NDA and the Congress. Meanwhile, the neighbouring state, Bihar, saw Chief Minister Nitish Kumar seeking votes on the basis of performance. Here's more.
Besides the national parties like BJP and Congress, regional powers are also campaigning hard for the remaining phases of Lok Sabha polls. In Uttar Pradesh, Mahagathbandhan is undertaking high-octane campaigning. Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav addressed rallies in Hardoi and Kanpur. BSP chief Mayawati also addressed multiple rallies. Addressing a rally in Hardoi, Akhilesh Yadav assured the people that alliances have always delivered whenever the country was in need of strong and dynamic government. He said Grand Alliance of SP, BSP and RLD are working together to bring about a transformation in the country. In Kanpur, the SP chief attacked the BJP and the Congress in the same vein.
देश में अगर समाजवादियों को कभी किसी ने धोखा दिया है तो कांग्रेस के लोगों ने समाजवादियों को धोखा देने का काम किया। ये सही है कि हमारा गठबंधन था, लेकिन हमें नहीं पता था कि कांग्रेस पार्टी में ज्यादा घमंड है। गठबंधन कुछ नहीं होता, घमंड ज्यादा बड़ी चीज है। आने वाले समय में दिल्ली में महागठबंधन जाने वाला है और अगर गंगा की सफाई के लिए और शहर को एक रिवर फ्रंट देने के लिए अगर हमें हजारों करोड़ भी देना पड़े तो कानपुर को हजारों करोड़ रुपए दे करके गंगा पे शानदार ऐतिहासिक सुंदर रिवर फ्रंट बना करके गंगा की सफाई करने का काम करेंगे।
BSP chief Mayawati campaigned in Kachuna in Hardoi. Addressing a rally, she said Congress has looted the country and corruption has risen under the BJP regime. She said both the national parties are threatened by the Grand Alliance in Uttar Pradesh.
इनकी चौकीदारी थी, ये नई नाटकबाजी भी इनको नहीं बचा पाएगी। क्या इस चुनाव में इनके सभी छोटे बड़े चौकीदार में मिलकर अपनी कितनी भी ताकत क्यों न लगाने?
Meanwhile, in Bihar, Chief Minister and JDU President Nitish Kumar is also busy in garnering votes for the JDU and NDA. He is asking for votes on the basis of performance of the state and the central government while attacking the RJD.
मानव श्रृंखला में गांधी मैदान में मेरे बगल में हाथ लेकर खड़ा रहने वाले अब तो खैर अंदर चले गए हैं, लेकिन उनके पार्टी के और उनके गठबंधन के लोग क्या क्या बोल रहे हैं पता है? शराब के कारण दुनिया भर में कितना नुकसान हो रहा है।
Clearly, all parties are leaving no stone unturned in putting across their campaign pitch to the voters who will decide their fate and that of the country. News Night Desk, DD News.
In the Rohit Shekhar murder case, Delhi police has arrested his wife Apurva for allegedly murdering her husband. A senior police officer said that the couple apparently did not have a happy marriage and had frequent fights.
ये इंटरोगेशन और जब सारे पीसेस जुटाए गए साथ साथ तो ये स्पष्ट हो गया कि उनकी वाइफ अपूर्वा शुक्ला तिवारी ने उनकी गला घोट करके और मुंह नाक बंद करके उनकी हत्या की। उनको आज सुबह गिरफ्तार कर लिया गया है और फर्दर इन्वेस्टिगेशन अभी चल रही है। आज पुलिस टीम हमारी उनको कोर्ट में प्रोड्यूस करके रिमांड लेगी उनका, फिर आगे की कार्रवाई हम करेंगे।
The 29th edition of the Abu Dhabi International Book Fair opened today, where renowned authors, poets and cultural troupes from India showcased the rich tapestry of the country. This time, India is the guest of honor country at the book fair. More than 1,000 exhibitors from 50 countries are participating in the fair, which will conclude on 30th April. The Indian delegation will present interactive sessions, organize discussion sessions and workshops for Indian writers, highlighting the country's traditional heritage, apart from showcasing various Indian arts and folklore through performances from artistic companies. The annual fair is a major event in the publishing sector in the Middle East and North Africa and is a platform for local and international talent to present their work and communicate with the sector's leaders and influencers. In sports news, Indian athletes put up a splendid show at the Asian Athletics Championship on Wednesday. PV Chitra bagged the third gold for India. She clocked a timing of 4 minutes 14.56 seconds, taking first place in the 1500 meters race. Athletes from Bahrain bagged the silver and bronze medals. And Duti Chand bagged the bronze in the 200 meters women's race, clocking 23.24 seconds. Bahrain's Salva Nasera won the gold with a timing of 22.74 seconds. Kazakh athlete Olga Safronova came second. Indian men's freestyle wrestlers continued their impressive performance at the Asian Wrestling Championships on Wednesday. Amit Thankar settled for a silver in the men's 74 kg freestyle event after losing to Daniar Kaisanov of Kazakhstan 0-5 in the final. Commonwealth Games champion Rahul Avare won a bronze medal in 61 kg category. Top Indian shuttlers PV Sindhu and Saina Nehwal notched up contrasting wins to advance to the second round of the Asia Badminton Championship in Wuhan on China on Wednesday. Olympic and World Championship silver medalist Sindhu eased past Takahashi Sakaya of Japan in straight games. Sindhu looked in command from the beginning and registered a thumping 21-14, 21-7 victory in just 28 minutes. World number 9 Saina had to work hard in a bid to get the better of China's Han Yu. The 7th seed Indian came back strongly to pull off a thrilling 12-21, 21-11, 21-17 win after conceding the first game. Master Blaster Sachin Tendulkar turns 46 today. Tendulkar remains one of the world's biggest cricket icons the game has ever known, and his 24-year-long career gave us some of cricket's most exciting times, as well as inspired a whole generation to fall in love with the game. The god of cricket announced his retirement from one-day internationals in December 2012, from T20 in October 2013, and finally all forms of cricket on 13th November 2013 after playing his 200th and final test match against the Windies at his home ground, Mumbai's Wankhede Stadium. Sachin Tendulkar scored a total of 34,357 runs from 664 international cricket matches in the span of his cricketing career. So here's wishing him a good birthday, and with that we come to the close of this edition of Newsnight on DD India. Thanks for watching.